it's me, Coach Kamal here. So guys, today I'm going to teach you how to make something not so healthy called 7-layer squares that my mom sent from Nova Scotia for me, and I liked it so much that she sent me the recipe. So because as you guys know, I have celiac, everything here will be gluten-free. So step one is to find graham crackers that are gluten-free, which you can get them on Amazon. Sobeys sells them, but a lot of the grocery stores don't. So that what you're gonna do is, first thing you need to do is you need to create a base for your squares. So I have this little mini processor that my nanny gave me a long time ago, and I'm gonna use it just to take my squares and I'm going to make crumbs, so then I'll have cookie crumbs. So regardless of what the recipe says, because these are gluten-free and like Ibrahim and I don't eat a lot of junk food, I'm going to use the whole container for the base because otherwise the cookies will just go bad. So when I put it and to give you an idea, guys, so the end product is going to look like this. This is our crumbs, but if you're getting graham crackers that aren't gluten-free, you can already buy them like the crumbs. So it just depends on what your preference is. Okay, so the next part of the recipe calls for 111 grams of butter, but I'm gonna go ahead and actually use 120. So if you look at the side of the butter here, it gives you these breakups, so it will tell you how much a quarter of a cup is actually 60. So I guess that means I'm gonna use a half a cup. And because I'm going to use a little bit, I'm going to use a disposable tray just to make it clean up a little bit easier. The last time I did this, I didn't have enough butter and it stuck to the tray and it was really hard. So I'm going to melt my butter in the microwave, and then I'm going to combine the melted butter with my graham crackers. So I'll show you that up next. Okay guys, so for my melted butter, because you don't want your butter to like explode in the microwave, I did 30 seconds. Flipped it 30 seconds again, and then I mixed it up. So we're gonna give this just a couple seconds to cool before we mix it. While we're mixing or letting it cool, I'm gonna get you to put your oven on at 350 degrees. Also, if you have one of the old school ovens like my oven here, let's see here, you want to be careful on the right side. Usually that emits heat. So if you have anything sitting on your stovetop, you just want to make sure that you move it. And also I'm going to get the rest of our ingredients. So guys, we're going to need gluten-free milk chocolate. We're going to need white chocolate, also gluten-free. Coconut. This is sweetened flaked coconut. All of these stuff, you guys, you can get at Food Basics, or even I got these at Food Basics, but probably No Frills as well. Gluten-free pecans, and the last one, condensed milk. So guys, for someone who doesn't bake like myself, I didn't know condensed milk and evaporated milk are not the same thing. So make sure you go to that aisle and look for the one that says condensed milk and sweetened is what we're going to use for this recipe. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our butter and we're going to take our breadcrumbs here, and we're going to mix these two things together. This is going to create the base of our 7-layer square. So I'm just going to add a little bit of butter at a time, really mix it in nicely, and then I'll put in a little bit more butter. So for those of you, anyone who's made cheesecake, this is also the same process to make the base of a cheesecake, but the base of the cheesecake, usually you throw in a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of brown sugar, with your breadcrumbs and your butter. But here we go, we're just mixing it all up, making sure to get all that butter in there. And then guys, for me, I'm going to take a little tiny bit of the extra butter and I'm going to put it in the pan, and I'm going to use a paper towel and I'm going to spread it out, just because like I mentioned the last time, I had a really hard time getting my squares out of the container. And guys, keep in mind, obviously this is, you know, not something you should eat every day. You know, it's a lot of sugar, but certainly life is about balance. So having it as a treat, no problem. And it freezes really well. So my mom made this in Halifax, froze it solid, and then she sent it via FedEx to me not too long ago. And it was to die for. So now guys, you'll see I have my butter and my breadcrumbs, or not breadcrumbs, graham crackers all mixed together. And I put a little butter here in my container, and I'm just gonna get a paper towel and move it all around. Just so I have my paper towel. I'm just gonna spread my butter around so we can make it a little bit easier when it's time to get this sweet 7-layer squares out. Whew. So now I have a good base. I'm gonna wipe up my counter, guys. I strongly suggest clean as you go so it doesn't stress your family out. And also it's always great to work with a clean kitchen. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our base and we're gonna spread it out into our dish, and we're gonna make a base, kind of like a floor almost. That's gonna be the first layer of our square. So what we're gonna do is, so after you get it in there, you wanna flatten it. So what I might do, I'll spread it out first, and then I'm going to take a glass and use that, just a regular glass, like a little glass like this. And you'll see right now it's a little bit bumpy, so I'm gonna press it down in order to make a nice firm base. Again, also if you are used to making cheesecake, this is also a trick that they use in making cheesecake. All right. So now you can see we have a nice first layer. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with, so you can measure these out, but I'm not actually gonna measure them, so I'm going to just take a handful. Remember guys, you would have already cleaned your hands. And I'm gonna sprinkle the chocolate, milk chocolate, gluten-free on top. And then I'm gonna grab my white ones. Same thing, gonna sprinkle them out. So this is going on, this is like my third layer here. So I'll give you, so again, this is based on your own preference. You can measure it out. So this is where I'm at so far. This is layer 3. So I actually personally don't like things too sweet. So you gauge it as you like. And then I'm gonna take a handful of my pecans and I'm gonna squish them up. So I like my pecans much smaller. So I'm just gonna smash them with my hands. So this will be now level 4. Here we go. Breaking them up. Again, whatever your preference is. If you want to just, you know, leave the pecans a little bit bigger, you go ahead and do so. I like mine a little bit smaller. Guys, make sure if you are making something for a friend who has celiac disease, make sure you check the labels, because even these little bags of nuts, sometimes they have wheat on them. Even though you would think, like, why would pecans have wheat? Sometimes they do put a coating, so you always want to check your ingredients, specifically if you're making the food for someone who has celiac, because even the smallest amount of gluten can really play havoc on their system. So I'm just still breaking up these pecans. So that's about good for me, I think. Well, maybe I'll just actually, there's not that much left in this container, so I'm just gonna finish it off. Has lots of little crumbs which we can use in this situation. want to make sure you spread out your pecans though so they don't all get in one spot. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our coconut flakes. So I'm a coconut lover, so depending on how much coconut you like, you spread it out. Okay, so that is our level 5. So next, guys, we are gonna take our condensed milk. I don't think you have to shake this, but so you're gonna take your condensed milk, you're gonna open up, and you are going to spread this liquid over the top. So it's a little bit thick, this type of milk. So we're gonna try our best to spread it evenly over our squares. So just need to rinse my fingers. Right? So guys, here we go, pouring it on. Gonna move it all around. So guys, depending on the size of your dish, it may be easier or more difficult to try to even it out, but again, the good thing about baking as opposed to like cooking is not always do you have to be, at least with this type of square, exact. So there's a little bit of flexibility. If you have a spatula, you can go ahead and grab it. Just try to get that extra so we're not wasting any. Get it all out. Guys, I know this seems like such a simple recipe, but believe me when I tell you, it is so good. And for people that have celiac, it's so hard for us to find stuff that doesn't have a lot of preservatives and so forth in it, so it's very hard to find baked goods. So this is a great thing to make at home, bring to a party that has no flour. So now that we got that, we're gonna go ahead, you know, if you recycle, go ahead and recycle your can. So then our top, this is level 6, looks like this. But now what we're gonna do is just top it off with a few more chips on the top. So just a couple, we're gonna sprinkle, just a couple on the top. This helps it make nice and gooey. All right, so that's level 7. So that's why they call this a 7-layer squares. So now, I just, you know, you can never have too much chocolate chips. For the chocolate lover, which Ibrahim and I like our chocolate. So then, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna try to spread out the liquid a little bit. So we're just gonna drop it onto the counter to just spread it out just a tiny bit. And then I'm just gonna check, guys, to find out how long. All right, so now, guys, we are ready to put this in the oven at 350. So we're gonna put it on the bottom baking rack. I'll give you one more look. So this is what it looks like right now. We're gonna put this in the oven. We're gonna start off at 20 minutes. And then we're gonna check it. So once it's looking like really gooey, then we know, like a nice shade of brown and really gooey, then we know it's all ready. So sit tight and I'll be back soon. Just remind you guys, as I'm thinking of my little cousin Roman, while you're waiting for your food to cook, now's your chance to clean up your kitchen. So as you can see, like I already had a chance to clean all my counter and clean all my dishes. So make mom and dad happy, auntie, uncle, guardian, make sure you clean up while you're cooking, so then when your treat's ready, you can just enjoy. All right, y'all, we are here. Look at our timer 0. So we're gonna take a peek in the oven. So as you can see right now, it's still pretty white in the center and jiggling on the side. So I'll pull it out a little bit so you can see that it actually, we need more time. So how you can tell is if you pull this out, you'll see how it's starting to get a little crispy on the outside, but the inside is still pretty jiggly. So we're gonna give it another 5 minutes and then we're gonna check it again. All right, MJKO squad. So we're at 0. So I actually added 10 minutes from the last time we checked. And you can see it's getting closer, but she's still not ready. It's starting to bubble, but the center still needs more time. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put 5 more minutes on our timer. Sit tight. All right, so let's check it out. So now we're at about 35 minutes from when we started, and you'll see, so it's just about done, but we just want to see those chocolate chips in the middle there. We just want to get those to melt, and then we know we're done. So we'll give it maybe last 5 minutes. All right, guys, here we are. So you can see there's 49 seconds left, but our squares are actually done. So I'm just gonna hit my timer, turn off the oven, and I'm gonna bring it out for you guys to see what it's looking like. So if you take a peek here, so we could probably leave it in for a little bit longer, but as you see, the outside is kind of quite cooked, and it is soft and bubbly. So we're gonna go ahead and let it rest. And then the one thing to note about this 7-layer squares is you can actually freeze this quite easily. After it's cool, if you put it in the freezer for 20 minutes, then it's easier to cut if you want to cut into individual squares. After we go ahead and have a bite, we'll share with you how it tastes. All right, guys, you can see this time I cut up my squares in advance because the last time I had a really hard time getting them out of the tray. So I'm gonna see today if we can get one of these out. So I'm gonna take one for myself and one for Ibrahim. And let us just take a peek. Delicious. Okay, Ibrahim, you want to taste?
Texture is good. Everything is perfect. It smells delicious. Excuse me, I will take this away with me. It's like heaven. If heaven tasted like food, it'll be this. Oh.
7-layer squares. People.
That's
a very big bite. Signing off. Enjoy.